Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Supporting Tribal Community Resilience. I'm Elizabeth Johnson, one of your hosts for today, and I'm honored to bring to you this inspiring conversation. We are so honored to have our speakers with us today. So before we begin, a quick note. We encourage you to engage by submitting your questions in the chat and or to use the Q&A section. We'll try to get to as many as possible during the discussion. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. As I've said, I'm Elizabeth Johnson, the Native Initiatives Manager for SACNAS. I'm an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. Yat she Elizabeth Johnson inishye adana nishaniki kia ani nishle do tsina dina bashishtin toda chitni dashu che do toda chitni dashu nala akut ego edena astal nishle tkota dena shan de hosto eshochen. That's my introduction in Navajo. I'm originally from the Four Corners area in New Mexico, specifically Farmington, but I currently reside in Phoenix, Arizona. I'll now hand the mic over to my colleague, AJ.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Dakyapi Lakoi Tau Choko Taui Machiapi na AS Lashichua Alexandra Holder Machiapi. Malakota na Kirikirish na Wichangara Uya Hamacha Naha Yuan Chandewaste na Be Chiuzapi. Maikade Raja Alexandra Holder Hingaide na Shaha Raja Tau Choko Taui Hingaide na Ma Keda Pananup Naga Sacha wa Unakshana. Shunkjunk Hikikarach Jegukira. Welcome everyone. My name is Alexandra or AJ Holder. I am Oglala Lakota, Winnebago, Wichita, Second Fox, and Northern Cheyenne. I am coming to you from Lawrence, Kansas, and I am the program's assistant for Native Initiatives here at SACNIT, so welcome you guys all here. And before we get into today's speakers, we're going to have a land acknowledgement. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the original stewards of the lands we occupy. We recognize that we are joining this conversation from many places, with its each own deep histories, cultures, and traditions shaped by Indigenous peoples. We honor the resilience, knowledge, and contributions of Native nations and Indigenous communities, past, present, who continue to care for these lands and whose legacies shape the world we live in today. This acknowledgement is a call to reflect, learn, and take action in supporting Indigenous voices and self-determination. We encourage you all to take a moment to recognize the lands you are on and to support the Indigenous peoples whose homelands you reside upon. If you'd like to learn more, we invite you to visit the link provided in the chat to explore the history and contemporary presence of the Indigenous communities in your area. I'll pass it off to Elizabeth.
Yes, before we welcome our speakers, I'd like to extend an invitation to you all to join SACNAS and be part of a thriving STEM community. At SACNAS, science, culture, and community are more than just words, they are the heartbeat of our organization. We create spaces where STEM students and professionals from historically excluded backgrounds can feel a true sense of belonging, can embrace their intersectional identities, and are empowered to bring their whole selves to STEM. We invite you to become a SACNAS member today. As a member, you'll gain access to a nationwide network of diverse STEM professionals, students, and mentors, professional development opportunities through webinars, workshops, and leadership programs, mentorship and community support to help you grow wherever you are in your STEM journey. Also, you get exclusive member discounts on SACNAS programs and events, including the SACNAS annual conference. This year will be in Long Beach, California from October 29th through the 31st. And last but not least, opportunities to showcase your research and to connect with potential employers and collaborators. Join us and be part of a movement that's shaping the future of STEM. Sign up today and click the link in the chat for more details.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And our slides are kind of out of order, so I'm going to go back a little bit. So now is what you guys are all here for today. We have our amazing speakers that are with us. I'll get into our first speaker. Jana Black serves as a Tribal Climate Resilience Liaison with the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance and the North Central Climate Adaptation Science Center, supporting collaboration among tribal nations, researchers, and partners to advance Indigenous-led climate adaptation and culturally grounded resilience strategies. Jana is of the Koyukon Athabascan descent of the Caribou clan, with ancestral roots along the Yukon River. She holds a Master's of Science in Environmental and Natural Resources and Society with a minor in Collaborative Practice from the University of Wyoming. Grounded in strong sense of place, her work weaves indigenous wisdom, local knowledge, and scientific insight to strengthen land-based education, social ecological stewardship, and community resilience. Born and raised in the Seattle area, she previously spent a decade as a sustainable farmer on the Olympic Peninsula, focusing on family life and homeschooling her son. She enjoys spending outside in the sun with her family. And next we have Kenzer Wawasik Bell. She is dedicated to continuing tribal nations to climate adaptation resources and data, supporting facilitation between tribes and partners, and building capacity by facilitating trainings for tribal resource managers. Her past research focuses on nitrogen cycling and headwater streams affected by land use change. She's passionate about connecting with people and places, building meaningful relationships, and creating space for understanding and growth. And with that being said, we'd love to hand the virtual floor to our speakers today. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. All right, ready, Jana? Okay,
Looks good.
cool. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining, and we're excited to share about our important work as Tribal Community Resilience Liaisons. We also call ourselves Climate Resilience Liaisons. We go back and forth. You might understand why in this year, I guess. But first, we'd like to introduce ourselves. Um, my name is Kenzer Wawasik Bell. I'm a enrolled member of the Kickapoo tribe in Kansas. I'm calling in from Leavenworth, Kansas. I'm a mom to a silly 7-month-old boy. My Kickapoo name is Mekathita, and it means Eagle Woman. I started my educational journey at Haskell Indian Nations University, and I got my bachelor's in environmental science there degree. And then it's just me, went to get, I'm so sorry. I'm nervous. Let me get that out. Um, I then went to University of Kansas as a prep scholar. That's the post-baccalaureate research education program. And those programs are all across the nation. And this one was at KU. It's basically a year-long program where you conduct research while taking master's level classes. And so it's like a practice year for grad school, but it was essential in supporting my application to grad school and to better understand where my research passions laid. And then I decided to stay at KU and got accepted into the Ecology and Evolutionary Biology department for a master's degree. And my master's thesis was focused on the denitrification in headwater streams surrounded by cropland versus grassland. And the watershed we studied was important to me because it drains into the Delaware River, which is the drinking water source for the Kickapoo tribe in Kansas. And we completed 24-hour stream samplings across 6 streams. And that's what I'm doing in that picture, the bottom left picture. Taking samples. We had these sensors installed in each stream that was taking continuous data, but then these 24-hour stream samplings, basically you were taking water samples every hour on the hour for 24 hours. It was actually really fun. It might sound like a lot, but it was pretty cool. And then my findings were that cropland-based streams contain more nitrogen than grassland streams. You could probably guess why. It's likely because of all the agricultural runoff that comes from those lands and into those streams. And I'll throw it to Jana.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Jana Black, Koyukon Athabascan Caribou Clan descendant, and I'm based in Ogden, Utah. But I was born and raised in the Seattle area. And before going into school, I was a sustainable farmer for about 10 years while homeschooling my son and finishing up my bachelor's degree in applied science and applied management on the Olympic Peninsula. And there we had a specialty garlic farm. You can see in that little picture in the corner, me and my son one summer harvesting garlic. We specialize in hardneck garlic varieties. So we grew about 7 different varieties and sold them there at the Seattle farmers markets. And it was such a magical experience to raise my son on this farmland, being connected to the land. And my son George is now 11, which is crazy. He's getting so big. And then we decided to go to Wyoming, and that's where I got my master's. I received my master's of science degree in environment, natural resources, and society. In my master's project, I'm honored that I got to work with the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho tribes in Wyoming. And I partnered with the Wind River Greater Yellowstone Coalition branch to create land-based intergenerational day camps. And so we titled them Indigenous Youth Culture and Climate Camps. So this 3-day event brought together elders, youth, community members, environmental and climate experts with the land and of the Shoshone buffalo herd. So my thesis title was Strengthening Sense of Place Rooted in Culture Through Intergenerational Land-Based Learning. And it was such a beautiful experience. I created this short video, so we'll play that and give me a thumbs up if you can hear.
The Wind River Indigenous Youth Culture and Climate Camps were held at the Shoshone Buffalo Herd in partnership with the Wind River Buffalo Initiative, Greater Yellowstone Coalition, and the Hobbs School of Environment and Natural Resources. Funding for these camps was provided by Western Water Assessment. Kinship, gratitude, and amazement are a few words to describe how the camps went. It was so wonderful to see young people on the land where the buffalo roam, to learn from their elders, community members, and educators. The first day began with 37 students from the 5th grade class from Wyoming Indian Elementary School. Each day started with a prayer led by an elder. As the elder was delivering the prayer in the Shoshone language, she paused to let us all know that a buffalo had joined us. All eyes lifted to the hillside, revealing a magnificent buffalo gazing down upon us. The elder explained that the buffalo had come to listen and recognize the Shoshone language. She continued the prayer, and as soon as she finished the prayer, we watched in awe as the buffalo descended the hillside into the ravine heading toward the river. This was a remarkable moment, especially for the young ones who had the chance to witness a buffalo up close. Their excitement was tangible, and I am certain this is a moment they will cherish forever. Indigenous intergenerational land-based learning offers a profound opportunity to build connections with kin, the land, and absorb ways of being deeply embedded in culture. Our goal is to bring together elders and young people to engage in educational activities on the land, focusing on topics such as tribal governance, culture, and sustainability. Wes Martell, tribal member from the Wind River Reservation and senior Wind River Conservation Associate with the Greater Yellowstone Coalition, states how important these intergenerational land-based camps are. That's what we're trying to do, strengthen our families and our communities. Our young people are an important part of that, an important place to start. Some quotes from the youth were, I learned how to save more water. I learned to stand up for our land, rights, and community. I learned the buffalo are helping more water into little rivers. I learned about water and indigenous recipes, and I also learned about different opportunities for careers. And lastly, I learned that the buffalo comes when you pray.
And that was the little video I created. Also, part of my thesis was creating a guidebook on how to develop a day camp in case other people wanted to create intergenerational land-based learning experience. So I dropped that in the chat if you want to view that. So together, Kinzer and I are the North Central Tribal Community Resilience Liaisons. We work across a 7-state region from the Rocky Mountains to the Missouri River, and we support tribal nations in advancing climate resilience, sharing resources, and creating pathways for Indigenous knowledge and community-driven solutions to guide resilience efforts. Because we are all interconnected, our work spans across many areas, including the environment, people, culture, health, food, and so much more.
Our mission as Tribal Climate Resilience Liaisons is to ensure equitable access to vital tools and resources, foster collaboration and research partnerships, uphold tribal sovereignty, and create opportunities such as workshops and gatherings for shared learning and action across nations. We work to build a more resilient and sustainable future, and we're committed to empowering tribal nations through Indigenous-led solutions. Here we are in a working tribal engagement working group um, session at the host of, well, I'll tell you more about it. You'll understand where in Boulder. And then on the picture on the right, we were tabling at the National Tribal and Indigenous Climate Conference that happens every other year, held by ITEP.
So we work across a wide network to support tribal nations in building resilience. This includes the BIA, Tribal Resilience Program, which is our funding source. And then we work for the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance as our employer, which is a South Dakota-based tribal organization. And we collaborate with the North Central Climate Adaptation Science Center, which is based at the University of Colorado in Boulder. And then we work with quite a bit of federal partners, tribal organizations, community organizations, as well as tribal leadership, staff, community groups, elders, schools, and youth.
The Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance is composed of 7 board members representing 7 tribal nations: Standing Rock, Oglala, Rosebud, Flanders Santee, Lower Brule, Cheyenne River, and Yankton Sioux tribes. The mission of the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance is dedicated to the protection and preservation of the Great Sioux Nation Indian Winters' rights of the use of water in the Missouri River watershed. And they provide recommendations to the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association and provide technical support on all water issues in the Great Plains. And more important work that the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance does includes working with allies to fight mining claims and to protect water quality in the Sacred Black Hills, and working at protecting wetlands and the Missouri River, and opposing the Western Dakota Regional Water Project.
We work in collaboration with the North Central Climate Adaptation Science Center, which is hosted at the University of Colorado in Boulder. And NCCASC has 6 other consortium partners, including the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance. And through the NCCASC, we work across a 7-state region to support 32 federally recognized tribes by connecting them with essential tools, knowledge, and resources that support their climate, ecological, and community resilience work. The North Central region is a very special place, home to the 32 federally recognized tribal nations, but also has the highest amount of tribal colleges and universities, about 18, and a rich diversity of languages, cultures, beliefs that continue to shape and strengthen this land.
So we work across a big network and we work with really great people. We get to make new friends all across Indian country. As Tribal Climate Resilience Liaisons, we also provide a long list of services to our communities. Here's a few pictures of us. And here's my son I got to bring to our conference last November. One of our services is supporting the development of climate vulnerability assessments, adaptation plans, proposals and grant applications, and implementation projects. So last year, we helped the Lower Brule Sioux Tribe apply for a grant that then funded the development of their climate adaptation plan. And we had a role in supporting the development of this as well and the connection to this other agency that helped them write it too. And you can find their climate resilience plan on the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance website. Jana will drop the link in the chat. We also connect tribal resource managers to data, information, and tools. Working alongside our liaison counterparts, we currently are hosting a webinar series to share climate resilience information and tools across the nation. Um, so like Jana had mentioned earlier, there's other casks across, there's 8 other casks and then so 9 including ours. So there's like maybe 12 liaisons and we're all supporting this webinar series. It's the first Thursday of every month and she'll drop the registration in the chat as well if you'd like to join. Next month it's resilient infrastructure. What's this one?
Another important initiative led by the Great Plains. Oh, here we go. We facilitate connections and partnerships between tribes, TCUs, researchers, and tribal organizations. Whether a tribal nation is focused on emergency management, climate resilience, drought response, or hosting a tribal gathering for information sharing, we can help connect them with the right partners, tools, and resources. So in this picture, we're at a tribal engagement working group in Boulder with one of our colleagues, James Rattlingleaf, and then Kinzer's here in the middle.
Oh yeah, this middle picture was at the first tribal climate workshop we hosted back in 2024 with the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. And these two are from Fort Peck, I think, and they're Haskell alums. So it's cool to always run into other Haskell people across Indian country. Yeah.
And then the last picture is me with our Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance chairman, Doug Krogost, and our vice chairman, Reno Red Cloud, at a treaty conference. So it's always good to connect and learn from one another at the conferences. Another really important initiative led by the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance is the Oceti-Shakowee Data for Climate Resilience Project. The purpose of this project is to empower the Oceti-Shakowee to use weather and climate data for planning, adaptation, and resilience. So we'll be hosting 2 workshops bringing together tribal natural resource managers, planners, and TCU faculty and students to build skills using, managing, and protecting data for tribal climate resilience. We're so excited. Part of this project is to hire 10 TCU students. So we're in that process right now of hiring the students, and they will create their own project that's rooted in what matters to them and their tribal communities using climate data. So this internship will strengthen relationships and networks with TCU faculty, tribal environmental leaders, and regional climate experts and organizations. They will be mentored with Indigenous leaders and climate experts to develop their community-based project while understanding data sovereignty and ethical stewardship of tribal data. The final deliverable will be communicating their findings to tribal communities, leaders, and peers. We have a really great group of collaborators on this project, and we're excited to see what the students will create.
Did you mention who the mentors?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned who they were, but we have a lot of cool mentors that are coming to our first workshop that will be held in Rapid City end of May. And so we'll have the 10 TCU students there, along with about 10 Indigenous leaders and mentors, and then TCU staff, and then all of our collaborators here. So we're really excited to host that first workshop.
Yeah. That'll be cool.
So this might be one of our favorite services is supporting the coordination of tribal workshops, meetings, and gatherings. We also attend tribal community gatherings to build relationships, but better understand tribal capacity and support community resilience through meaningful engagement and collaboration. By being present in community spaces, we listen and learn and connect with tribal leaders, staff, and community members to ensure that planning efforts reflect local priorities, cultural values, and lived experiences. Our role is to help create welcoming and productive spaces for dialogue and knowledge sharing and collective problem solving, while strengthening the partnerships and support long-term resilience and self-determination. So we're super excited that we're going to host our second annual Tribal Climate Workshop with Blackfeet Nation in June. The theme is gathering at the fire to learn from one another and care for our tribal communities. Our first Tribal Climate Workshop was co-hosted with the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes in Polson, Montana. It was a wonderful success, bringing over 60 participants from approximately 15 tribal nations, along with representatives from tribal organizations, federal partners, and community members. This diverse gathering allowed tribal experts and community members to share invaluable insights on climate resilience and sustainability. Key highlights included discussions on buffalo reintroduction, tribal land stewardship, water resource management, the intersection of human health and food sovereignty. And we concluded with a compelling panel featuring elders and youth fostered by intergenerational dialogue and cultural exchange. Participants explored funding opportunities and adaptation planning, emphasizing the importance of integrating traditional ecological knowledge and cultural practices into their climate action plans. Strategies for implementing projects that bolster tribal sustainability were shared along an engaging electric vehicle ride and drive event that showcased innovative transportation solutions. The workshop also included a memorable field trip to the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes greenhouse, where attendees viewed baby trees and plants essential for restoration efforts. And then we had a delicious lunch featuring bison stew and salmon, celebrating traditional food sources. And lastly, we visited the CSKT Bison Range, highlighting bison conservation and its cultural significance. Overall, this workshop was a vital step in advancing tribal-led climate initiatives and strengthening community connections.
Another tribal gathering we support is the annual Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance Conference. Surrounding tribes in the Great Plains region join us once a year to network and hear updates on water issues that the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance may be fighting or preserving. And these pictures, the one on the left is just from this last November. That was hosted in Deadwood, South Dakota. And the one on the right was hosted at Royal River Casino at the Flandreau Santee Sioux tribe. Yeah. Another way that we are connecting with tribal nations in our region is by hosting a tribal adaptation menu workshop this spring, working with the North Central Cask and Rising Voices Changing Coast Hub. We are hosting this at Haskell for local tribes to join. The focus of this workshop is to support tribes and tribal partners in planning for future environmental changes while integrating community and culture. And so the tribal adaptation menu itself helps identify effective adaptation strategies, engaging communities in meaningful ways, and integrate cultural practices to support long-term resilience. Yeah, this is in coming up in about a month at Haskell. We've got all the tribes in Kansas are joining us and hopefully some students as well. Really excited. And then continued services we provide. We also support capacity building by facilitating trainings. So for example, we're currently conducting outreach for tribal resource managers that are interested in a training hosted by the North Central Cask this June. We're looking for tribal environmental professionals, cultural resource managers, and tribal leaders and decision makers. And it'll be an interactive workshop intended to foster dialogue and shared learning around practical tools. So if you see this and know of anyone, or you yourself would be someone that would like to go to this, let us know. We'll have our contact information at the end. Oh, it's also right there. Okay, next.
And most importantly, we support organization of tribal community education and youth engagement. This includes helping plan and facilitate workshops, trainings, and hands-on learning opportunities that empower community members with knowledge and resources. So we work alongside tribal partners to create culturally relevant educational spaces where youth and community members can learn about environmental stewardship, climate resilience, and community leadership. By uplifting youth voices and encouraging intergenerational knowledge sharing, we help foster the next generation of leaders while strengthening community connections and long-term resilience. So, a couple pictures in here. We're at the Wind River Intertribal Buffalo Initiative, where my son's feeling the height of a buffalo. We made choke cherry patties and sun-dried them in the sun. At the bottom there, at our last conference, we had the Pine Ridge Girls School come and introduce himself in the Lakota language and share about their project with protecting the streams and waters that flow into the reservation and around those lands. And then the couple circle pictures on the end there are students at the Wind River Indigenous Youth Culture and Climate Camps posing in front of the teepee. So having these land-based camps is very important, and bringing in youth to all tribal spaces to present their work, speak their language, and share knowledge is really important for us.
So let's talk. Whether your nation is advancing emergency management, strengthening climate resilience, addressing drought impacts, or hosting a tribal gathering to exchange knowledge and information, we can help connect you with the right partners, tools, and resources to support your work. We collaborate closely with tribal leaders, staff, and community members to understand your priorities and tailor support that aligns with your nation's goals, cultural values, and existing capacity. So from planning and facilitation to resource coordination and partnership building, we work alongside you to help move ideas into action and strengthen long-term community resilience. And thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate the opportunity to share about our work and connect and collaborate. And we welcome any questions because together we can build pathways for a resilient and thriving future rooted in relationships and guided by Indigenous knowledge. And there's our QR code to a form. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Such a wonderful presentation and just learning so much about what your guys' program's about and how people attending for live and then on the recording how they can get connected. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A section of the Zoom. I do have a couple questions for you guys. So does your organization interact with TCU students often? If so, how can they get the most out of your program that includes the summer internship as well?
Yeah. Uh, what we do when trying to connect with TCU students is if someone else connects with us and lets us know there are internships, opportunities, any other funded opportunities, we work to share those across all the TCUs and with other TCU faculty we know to help get students involved or know of all the opportunities out there. Um,
Yeah. And we have a newsletter too. We should drop that in the chat. I saw your message from earlier. I wasn't sending it to everyone, so I'll drop the few links that I was putting in the chat. I was only sending it to the facilitators. So yeah, we have a newsletter, and part of it is student opportunities, so people can always check that out. And yeah, we just ended our Ocheti Shakoi Data for Climate Resilience TCU application. So we have most of those 10 TCU students, but we hope to get more funding to bring on for the second year. So look out on our website at the Great Plains Tribal Water Alliance.
Awesome. Thank you guys for the information. I did drop those links after you dropped them, so people still see them.
Cool, thank you.
And then I do have another question. Do you believe that your work in your graduate and undergraduate programs help you in the work that you do now?
100%. I remember, so I was very lucky to have a mentor when I went into grad school who really listened to me and understood like where I want what I wanted to do and what I wanted to do and was able to build those connections and networks while I was in grad school. And so when I was like, let's do this intergenerational land-based camp with the Wind River tribes, and it was like a learning process, but that whole experience in grad school led me to where I am now. And if I didn't have that experience, I don't think I would be in this position because I learned so much and I was able to make so much connections with tribes in my region. So, yeah, definitely find a good mentor while you're in school and make sure to bounce ideas off each other because if you are passionate about something and you want to do something and you're driven, then you'll find the right mentors to support your needs.
hmm And I'd say yes, what I did in grad school helped me. Just learning the skills of research and connecting with people was helpful. Even though I didn't go into a field of research after grad school, I still am a part of some projects where it's research based, so I know what they're talking about and I can support in other ways. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both. We do have a question via the Q&A. They said, great job on your presentation. And what is the next phase of your project slash initiative?
Oh, the Ocheti Shikoi project. Right now finalizing our 10 interns, and they're all across the region too, which is great, and from different tribes. And once we finalize our 10 interns and then connect them with the mentors that we also have chosen, this May we have a workshop that's focused on bringing climate information to the interns and them deciding their projects that they'll do over the course of the year and show them these mesonettes as well. I don't know if you've heard of South Dakota State University. They install mesonettes across the state, but also on tribal lands. So then really this initiative is also focused on these students being able to utilize that data from those mesonet stations, weather stations. Thanks.
Awesome. That's all the questions we have. I want to thank you guys so much again, and I'll pass it off to Elizabeth for some closing statements.
Yes, thank you so much. As we wrap up today's incredible discussion, I want to extend a huge thank you to our amazing speakers. Your presentation was truly inspiring, very informative, and I love to see what the next steps are. We appreciate your time and knowledge that you shared with us today. And I would also like to thank all of our attendees for joining us and being part of this conversation. We encourage you to keep the dialogue going and continue supporting Indigenous voices in STEM. Through your registration portal, you are able to join the discussion post to share a little bit more of information. That's where you'll also find some links that were shared during this webinar and also in our follow-up email, which will be sent out soon with the recording of the recording of the webinar, any resources shared during the event, and a short survey. We'd love to hear your feedback to help us improve future events. Once again, thank you all for being here, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.